good character. That's how I look at it. Thank you.
That's a very good, I think everybody would agree with you. That's a very good way of explaining. So we have seen nature influences our character, conscience almost determines our character. What about culture? Who wants to comment on culture and how culture can influence whether you are going to be a good guy or a bad guy?
Let me say something about culture, because indirectly culture is what defines who you are. I mean, if you look at traditional norms, like in Zambia, we are 73 tribes. Me, I'm from Eastern, and I'm Ngoni by tribe. So now you find that there's a certain way you're expected to behave by virtue of you being a Ngoni man. So most times you find that Ngoni men are dominant, they are bossy, you know. So in you trying to be a cultural person or a traditional man, you find that your character sometimes is influenced, because where you're supposed to be conscious to say that we live in a society where you have different groupings. This is not acceptable. Yet you still stick to your cultural background to say, no, I have to behave this. So culture does affect
from Zimbabwe.
Okay. Now somebody from Zimbabwe wants to comment.
Yes.
Zimbabwe, comment. Who is that?
Yeah. I was going to say, to some extent, culture is almost like nature. That in a culture there are accepted norms, and if you behave outside that, you are regarded a bad person. But if you behave accordingly, you are regarded a good person. So it's almost like nature, as the previous speaker explained. That's the acceptable way of behaving. So you have to follow that.
Now tell me, can culture lead you to bad behavior? Among your people, it's fully accepted you're a good guy. You come to Lusaka, yes, and we think, what a bad guy this guy is. Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible.
Yes, it's
so
possible.
What do you do about that?
Because for example, thing was talking about Ngoni man.
Yeah.
When Ngoni man goes to...
We are listening. We have lost you. Tell us about the Ngoni man.
Or maybe let this same Ngoni man finish that.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about the Ngoni man.
Yes, from areas where men are dominant.
Others will think you are bad character. Okay, somebody else wanted to talk. Now the next person, culture and its relationship to character of a person. And we have just learned it can be a source of good character, but could also be a source of bad character. Next comment.
I'm just thinking that culture in terms of norms and practices can be challenged because there are certain negative cultural practices. And in my thoughts, I'm saying culture is something that should be able to change. So you may find yourself being in a situation whereby your culture is something that is negative and needs to be challenged in terms of being to be able to change. So culture may not be permanent, but can be something that can be changed due to the negative aspect of it.
Of the three, just before you finish your comment, of the three sources you have seen so far, which one is the most influential in a community?
Culture.
culture. So it can overrun nature and conscience. Okay. Now let's come to religion. Can the religion determine your culture or direct your culture? Or do you behave in a certain way because of your religion?
For me, I feel religion actually is the strongest of them all. That's the one that seems to have the most hold, they say, because you find you're coming from a cultural background, you go into this church, and all of a sudden everything it's overridden because of what's being said at the pulpit. So religion.
So you agree? So you agree religion can determine whether you become a good person or a bad person, and it's so influential it can overrun culture, conscience, and nature. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because you see, with religion also, it should be a way of life, and that for me it has got stages. You need to grow into it. You need to understand. There has to be discernment. There has to be that inspiration. Now, when you look at, okay, traditionally, you're coming from a background where they're telling you indirectly to respect your elders. Then you go into a church and you now put the pastor or the priest in the position of God. So what he says goes. So now, if even the one who's sharing the word is also lost, it means the flock now will start following a norm that is against all those advices. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now let me ask the question. What do you do when you are a Goni man and you become a Christian? What takes precedence? Are you a Goni Christian or a Christian Goni? What comes first?
I love that question. So it's like what the previous.
Maybe before you begin answering, I can't get to what you are saying. Are you saying Gone or something like that? Can you
Ngoni
explain?
is a tribe. Ngoni.
Ah, you said Ngoni. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Maybe we can change the word to Masai, a Masai man. Are you a Masai Christian or a Christian Masai?
A Christian
why?
Masai.
If yes, why? If no, why?
Okay, I'll leave that to a Masai to answer. I was comfortable as a Ngoni. I might
Let's see a Goni.
Yeah.
Let's see a Goni.
Yes. You first and foremost, you see, I'm a Christian. Okay, so what changes is now how I apply myself by virtue of the word that I've been exposed to. I've been transformed by virtue of the knowledge that I'm receiving. And like there's a previous speaker who spoke about the norms can change and everything. Tradition, culture can change by virtue of the information that comes. Because
so are you a Christian? Are you a Christian Goni or a Goni Christian?
Which one comes first? I'm a Christian Goni. Or a Goni
You're a Christian Goni, which means you are born a Goni, but at one time you made up your mind to first of all put the Goni aside and be a Christian. Then you now took what is Christian and checked what was Goni and rejected what in Goni is not Christian and only retained what in Goni is acceptable to a Christian. Am I summarizing it correctly?
Yes, no, you're correct. Because remember to say that in our tribe, we have traditional ceremonies that are held every year. And in those traditional ceremonies, there are certain sacrifices that are done. Now, by virtue of the information that I have, there are certain things that I discard because of the knowledge that I have.
Okay. Let's now look at the next one. It is institutional of law and order. You know, my wife went to Korea. She was part of something called AD 2000. And they went for a conference, must be 95 or 96, to Korea. And she told me how you go to a supermarket and they don't tell you to, in Kenya, by the time you're entering, they tell you to keep your bags on. There's a place to keep your bags, so you go without anything. And he said, what? They trust the customer. It's only later we learned, it's not that they trusted the customer, but because that is now 95, almost that getting to that years ago, we had not developed technologically in Kenya to know that although they are not telling you to keep the bag, if you put something in that bag, it will not come out because it will make noise if you put any item inside your bag. So you can see they look very good people. Wow, these are people of integrity. But it's not integrity. It's the fear of the law. Any comments on that? That the way you run a government, a school could easily produce a certain type of people, and you run it differently, you produce a different type of people. Any comments? I'm looking for a comment.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, it's true. The law and order, the institution of law and order serves as a check on people. And this even go as far as divine law and order. If we look at ourselves, and I always say that when, suppose that Christ or God should appear and tell us that stealing is not evil, you see the number of people that will involve themselves in stealing now. It means that it is because of the fear of being caught and the fear of society telling you it's evil. That is why people desist from doing such things. Sometimes when you go to places, the camera they put there, the jail terms, the prisons that are there to let me say jail people when they do wrong is what deter people from actually doing the wrong things. So institution of law and order serves as a check and guide society. I agree much with that.
Thank you very much. The other person, and there was another person wanting to comment.
Yeah, I think
yes,
it's
I also
almost
want to comment.
The three of you will. Let's start with the lady.
Yeah, I see institution can also influence a person to have bad characters, especially when you have a church which practices abnormal norms. It influences somebody to have bad character. For example, in Kenya, we had a church that manipulated people and they were involved in wrong doctrines and they ended up maybe fasting to death. So an institution can influence somebody to have bad character.
Okay. Our brother, you are next.
all right. I have a contribution and an observation. The first one is, I think what I wanted to say has already been said, to say institutions of law and order indeed do contribute to the character. And my friend rightly said, people are afraid of stealing because they know that once they are caught, there are there is punishment. So the observation of the flip side of it, I'm thinking now, if someone is afraid of stealing just because he or she knows that there is punishment associated when caught, can we still categorize this person as someone with good character? That's my question.
Who wants to answer? Anne, can you answer our friend? Your son is so good, but just because you have put the CCTV in the house and at school, so the guy is said to be of high character. So he is asking, is that really a good character? Anne?
I don't think so.
But as far as we can see, he never does anything wrong. Everyone admires him. Everyone is so happy with him.
It's not that you are admired because there are things maybe you do people don't know. So for me, I
Yeah,
think,
so you agree with him that that character is fake, and one of these days the truth
yeah,
will
that
be
is
discovered.
impersonation.
I see his point. He is a man of good character temporarily. Something could change. And
Yeah.
being a Kenyan,
Ah,
do you agree that globalization is so powerful, it made our Gen Z take over the country?
yes, I agree.
Explain to the other people.
Uh, with the globalization, we have communication being very easy, and they can connect to any part of the world. So it changed their character, and after maybe discussing whatever they discuss online, these are the networks that they use, can lead them to doing something, either good or bad.
Thank you. So each one of these 6, if we really want to develop people of good character, now that we know they are the ones influencing bad or good character, it means you would have to work on them. And if we had the time, we'll deal with them. Now we want to break up into groups. My suggestion is take a photo of this so that you go with it to your group. I want you to start with the last question. The last question is asking, give an example of the hardest integrated test you have ever faced and how you overcame it or did not overcome it. The hardest integrated test you have ever faced, how you overcome it or how you did not overcome it. And now that we have been discussing the issue of good character, if you face something like that in the future, how would you look after it? If you still have time, then also do number 1. What are your major personal motivations for demonstrating good character? What makes you not become bad? Yet it's easier to be bad than to be good. And the last one, which is the second bullet, what is the main motivation in your institution or national culture for demonstrating good character? What makes your group, your church, your class have people of good character? If you are not very clear, please ask a question. Is the question understood before we break into groups? Remember to agree who is reporting, and I'm giving you 15 minutes. It's not for discussion, you just share, because somebody is just talking about himself. So no debate, you just record whoever is going to report back what people are saying. Any clarity? Remember, our discussion is on character, and it's important in making you a man or a woman of influence. Therefore, you can help your community to go to a desired better end because they trust you. That's what we are discussing. So we are trying to check you. Are you a man or a woman of character? Now, remember, even if you failed, Jesus forgives. So you share it even if you failed. But I think we will learn from each other. The idea is, from your success and your failures, we all learn together. Any question for me? Sounds like everybody understands. So can we then break into groups? I put the questions in the chat box. Emmanuel, you are putting us into groups.
Yes, sir.
Now I've closed my mouth. For the next 15 minutes, we are yours.
I ironed the money plus the seat, didn't touch it, didn't remove it. And at the end, I noticed it was a test. And Lady Anne also on the group also stated that somebody came to her to bid for a certificate that he has not worked for. And the person was a person of a high profile, wanted to use his position to lobby to be given a certificate free of charge without attending school and all that. And that one too, and the person proposed of giving her some good amount of money. And she stood her ground and said no. And she knew that one was also an integrity test. Also, one of our brothers also shared that in the workplace, somebody came, he worked with the finance department. Somebody came that I can help you, give you a deposit check or deposit slips, that there is a way you do it when you have been given money to go deposit. You will not deposit, but you can call me, then we can make a magic happen that the money will reflect in the account, but there will be no money. So he said that one too, he reported to the boss, and it was an integrity test he passed. So basically, that's the integrity test we discussed on the platform. And we also answered question 1, which was our major source of motivation for good character. And we all, in a way, agreed, because I said that my major source of motivation was karma, because whatever you throw at the wall will come back to you. And I gave an example that I wouldn't want to share my wife with anyone. So I wouldn't want to go after anyone's wife or anyone's girlfriend or something like that. And that's, for me, that was the motivation. Another person also shared that the motivation for him is also that there is punishment at the end of everything, and there is also reward. And obviously, good character attracts rewards, and bad character also attracts punishment. And lastly, in a way, we all agreed that we have been tested with integrity. And the second question, we all, in a way, at one point in time, have some kind of things that motivate us, which is karma, and also the reality of punishment and reward. Thank you, sir.
That's a very, very good report. I think we can clap for him, the virtual clapping, however it's done. That's very good. That group did a fantastic job. Let's now go to group number 2. Helena, are you the?
Yes, Jane is going to report.
Okay, then welcome, Helena.
No, Jane. Hello.
Oh, is Jane reporting?
Yes.
Oh, Jane, I apologize. I don't know why I'm picking on Helena. Jane, go ahead.
Yes, we were 2 in our group, I and Elizabeth. We started with the question number 3, as you said, to give an example of a hardest integrity test that we faced or we experienced and how we overcome it. So it was just similar, but with different incidents. To my friend, yeah, okay. Yes, what Elizabeth shared is like he went to the shop to buy bananas, and in the process, instead of giving her what he bought, he was like giving more of the bunch of bananas. So when he got to her car, she discovered that he has more bunches of bananas, so he had to return one to the owner or to the seller. That's how he showed integrity instead of just taking them to her advantage to her home. The same also applies to me, that I did experience the same when I went to the shop to buy some groceries. The teller gave me more change instead of what I was supposed to get. So after I discovered that I received more of the change, I had to go back and give what he was supposed to get. So that was part of the integrity, that we need to get what is right, not what does not belong to us. That's what question number 3. So we targeted also question number 2. No, question number 1. What are our major person motivations for demonstrating good character? And we said our major person motivations, for the sake of Elizabeth, he said, as a Christian, he preached the gospel. So whenever he went out to preach the gospel, he was make sure that people should know who she is and what she's preaching, get the message, get converted, and be able to know who Christ is. So it has that her major motivation on this, on demonstrating good character. In case of mine, I give a situation that I do work as an admin principal in a certain school, where I had some responsibility to look after some employees, some staff. So it's like my character. I need to show them who really I am, working together, show kindness where it's necessary, support where it is necessary. So what the inner man inside me must portray the true character to them so that they do learn something out of me and be able to act or to practice the same. So we also targeted the third question as the main motivation in our institution or nation culture or demonstrating good character. We also share that one, that by the end of it all, both of us, we are motivated with what we do, because it's like people that we work with, they also get inspired and get motivated in what we do and what our character reveals to them. That's what we shared in short. Thank you.
That's very good report also. We are clapping for you. Let's now hear group number 1.
Okay, so from group number 1, we were 5 in the group, and then I'll use the designation participant number 1 and 2. I wouldn't want to mention names. Okay, so on the last question, that we are supposed to give an example of the hardest integrity test that we ever face and how we overcome it, whether we fail or pass. Participant number 1 revealed that it had where she worked, there was a big scandal with the boss. You know, the boss was in some illegal stuff, and the boss called her, and the boss is like, I'll give you an offer. You cover me, and then I give you promotion, or you do otherwise, and I fire you. But she stood on her grounds and then exposed the boss, and the boss was rather fired, and she is still in the work. And then participant number 2, so she passed the test, but it was a very big one for her. Participant number 2 said he invaded a traffic light rule, you know, driving and going. The traffic has stopped, the red sign is there, but unfortunately, he invaded, whether knowing or unknowingly. And the policeman approached him, and then it was back and forth, and the police was telling him how he would take him to court, he would go and report him, and then, or he should pay some money and then set free. And unfortunately, he succumbed because he didn't want to go through all those hell of a problem. So he paid to the police officer and then got his way out. And then when he was asked on how he would respond after this course, he said that after this course, he would try his best not to, you know, succumb in such situation. And then we have participant number 3. He said he was approached by a bribe on Christian election. I believe an election within the church. And he refused because he believed that elections should be free and fair, and also God is the one that elects, so people should go and cast their to go and express their mandate individually without influence or manipulation. Okay, so he also passed. And then participant number 1 also had issues with electricity, and the company gave the meter and they didn't come to check the meter and then put it in the system. So after 3 years, the participant number 1 went several times to the company, about 3 times, to ask them to come and resolve the issue. They didn't mind. After 3 years, they came and one of their workers took the meter off, that they've accumulated more than 15,000. And he went to the company. The company decided that the boss invited him inside and told him that, hey, after 3 years without paying electricity bill, your bill is way big. So you are in the range of paying this amount. But if you can agree, we can agree, and then you give me this, I will make sure that I change everything in the system for you and then give you a new meter. Unfortunately, he also succumbed to that and then gave the boss what the boss wanted, and he was given a new service. This is what we've been able to achieve so far, because we were 5 in the group and time was not on our side. After we've not able to touch on the question 1 and then question 2. But because I'm speaking, if I should report on question 1, I'll say my biggest personal motivation is my Christian principle. Because I know Christ, there are so many challenges that come my way, and what I ask myself is that, what will Christ do in the situation? And in many occasions, I do the right thing because of my conviction that God is watching, and that is what Christ expected of me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now in group number 4, but we will clap for number 1. It was a big group and did well. Group number 4. Have you sorted out yourself?
Okay, so group 4, we were 3 of us, but I think the 3rd person came late. So we discussed the 2 of us, because the 3rd person came late and we couldn't get his contribution. So for participant number 1, it had to do with the issue at work. Something happened which actually also needed the court of law to be involved with what had taken place at work. So she was the major witness, to testify. And what happened at court is that she had to stand for the truth, and she spoke the truth according to the beliefs that she has, and that's how the case was actually won in that particular company. And participant 2, it had to do with political affiliation, where during campaigns, they needed to speak, lies, like telling people things that they won't even do. And according to the conviction, it was difficult to actually say those things, because integrity could not just leave the particular individual to continue saying lies to people just for the vote. So that was really hardest, because you are in a group, you agree what you are supposed to say, and then when that time comes, you simply just decline that I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say lies during campaign, because we are not even able to do the things that we are saying we will do to the people. So it was 2 contributions. And then for question 1, the conversation was the major personal motivations for demonstrating good character. The motivations are basically to just see how best the world should be. If each one of us can do what is right within ourselves, within our family, and so that motivates that at individual level, if I can put in the very best and another person puts in the very best in doing what is right, that we are going to live in better world. And like seeing that other people are doing wrong things and you also want to participate. So it's an issue of just having conviction where you are to influence. For institution, it's basically formulating values that will bring, good profits in the things that you've decided in a particular institution. So that motivation of timekeeping, the motivation of being productive, having a resourceful state to ensure that you give your best in an organization demonstrates a good character. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm impressed by all of you. That's a very good performance. But I would like us to discuss this finally. Of all the sources of motivation, which would most benefit your character? We have been given a long list. Everyone say this, we say different things. What would help you to end up with good character as a leader? Which motivation is the best? Chemwemwe?
Yes, I'm here. Unfortunately, I'm the one who was unable to join any group. But
yeah, but now you have listened to all the reports. Which one do you feel of all those motivations or sources of motivation? If you follow this motivation, you will certainly end up with a good character.
In this case, I wanted to add mine.
Okay, add yours.
Yeah.
What would what motivates you to keep to the straight and narrow?
Peace of mind.
Looking for peace of mind.
Yes.
You feel like if you do something else, it will cause you lack of peace of mind.
Yes, I will keep on being haunted if I do something. For example, the things that the friends were mentioning, like at a workplace, and then being requested to do this. If you don't do this, then I will I will fire you, and this other thing. So sometimes you think you are making a shortcut. You are maintaining your, let's say, a job, but then you will leave with something that will continuously haunt you to say, this job, you are there because you did a bribe or something like that. So I see a great motivation in having the peace of mind in the things that I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Who was Jane? Would you like to tell us, after you have, don't refer to yours, but after listening, which one of the sources of motivation do you feel would best make people end up with good character? Jane?
To me, it's integrity.
Which one?
To me, it's integrity.
Yeah, that is true. What motivation can motivate you to have integrity?
Okay.
Tell us what can motivate someone to end up with integrity. And if that is what is motivating them, they will never go off the line.
If the person is honest in whatever he's doing, yeah.
But what will motivate him to be honest?
Oh, okay. What will motivate him or her to be honest?
Yeah. We were given many examples. Which one did you think best?
Oh, okay. Okay. Now I get it. Okay. Now I get it from the sources that we shared, right? Oh,
which motivation people said, some said
the conscience.
One of them is motivated by karma.
The conscience.
And okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now I've heard you.
Yes.
I've heard you.
Thank you.
Who wants to, anybody else wants to say, of all the motivators we got, this one is the one that can ensure. For example, this one of fearing being caught What about if you can see you will not be caught, nobody ever discover that you end up doing wrong? Because the only reason you are doing right was fearing you can be caught. What about if you are able to set up a system that ensures you are not caught? So that as a motivator cannot go very far, because you simply walk away of not being caught. Somebody else tell us which one do you take as the best? Or the one that, yes?
Yes, sir. I will go with the punishment system, the reward and punishment system, knowing that when you do good, you reap good rewards, and then when you do bad, you get eventually.
That's karma. That's karma.
Yes, karma. Some way or somehow you get repaid. So I think
is it true?
That
is it true, or you are lying to yourself?
Yeah,
many people who are bad end up getting very good results, very good results.
Yeah, you know that that in itself, it's a topic for debate, whether, because we've also seen some people do evil and instantly or within a short period they get repaid.
I agree, but there are others who do bad and they don't get any punishment. So if karma is your motivator and you have seen other people do wrong and don't get punished, you will still do it, because after all, if it didn't work for so and so, how will it work for me? Can you see the limitation of karma?
There is a limitation for karma. There is a limitation for karma. But
please pick another one which has no limitation, where you are sure if this is what's motivating you, you cannot ever do the wrong thing.
Can I chip in and think about faith? That is my belief. Yes, I'm thinking about faith, my belief. So when I think about the divine God himself, knowing that he can watch where I'm alone and knows what is in my heart. So that should be my motivator in terms of my faith.
Who is speaking?
Hello?
Who is speaking?
Tembo.
Oh, Tembo. That's certainly. If the reason you are doing good is to please God, who sits in secret, there's no time you'll ever do the wrong thing, because the fear of God will follow you wherever. I wish we had the time to deal with it. Time is an enemy of good things, because this is a very good discussion we are having about how to end up with good character. Let me now change quickly, and we have a very short time. Threats to good character. Now, we have seen how to make good character. But you know, after making good character, it's not permanent and pensionable. You can end up as a good young man. Somewhere towards, as you grow bigger and you become a boss, you end up changing. What are those things that can make you change for the worse? Number one, if somewhere along there you become self-centered, and we went through that last time, you will discover self-centeredness. You will say, hey, it doesn't pay me. I've been so good, but what has been the result? What is in it for me? So that way you change your character, because you are not finding value in good character. What about social pressure? We talked about it. Peer pressure. If you allow, and remember what we called it, the B for belonging. It can, if you feel you have a tight group and you don't want them to look down on you, you end up doing things that your conscience will not want to do, but you are now doing it because of your pressure. Number three, culture and tradition. When I was told by somebody, I don't know how true it is, that a Muslim says you should not steal, but that does not include kafiri. If you're a kafiri, he can take from you, he can lie to you. And so you end up on the basis of culture and traditions doing the wrong things. And you could, again, I've written a book which you can get online in Amazon. It's called Integrity, the Litmus Test of Good Leadership. And I share this same subject we are discussing in the book. And I argue, if you cannot question your culture and your tradition, you end up compromising and doing the wrong thing. And so you need to be able to question your culture. Don't do something because that's accepted. Is it good? Number 4, the law of competition. That's a serious thing. Hey, you can't beat me. That idea of trying to be better than your wife, better than your uncle, better than, oh, they have beaten me. You end up compromising your character so that they do not defeat you. And number 5, we can talk about spiritual forces, metaphysical forces, and all those things we are talking about, karma, and things we are talking about, witchcraft and blessings of uncles and parents and what they say in our tradition could end up making you do the wrong thing because you do not want the spiritual forces to be against you. You know, I now want to finish by talking about character transformation, the principles that can help you to change. In other words, you can see your behavior, and some people have admitted that they have a problem with doing right in certain conditions. So I really would want you to tell me honestly, not tell me, tell yourself, in which area do you know your character is not doing very well? Because the first step to becoming a better person is self-awareness, getting to know you. Because sometimes you can be evil, and if somebody tells you, "Hiya, me," is that true? How? An example I felt was very, very, very interesting of this this leader who believed that he is very good at keeping off the home issues, cannot come to work. He believes he's a professional. So even if he had a problem with the wife, it cannot reflect in how he behaves at work. He believes it. Then one day, they were in the office with his deputy, the deputy CEO, and he said, "But sir, are you having issues at home?" He was so insulted. "How can you ask such a question? That's not my problem. It's my I'm good at that." Say, "I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir." Because of course you don't want to annoy your boss. So when he now went for tennis with his close friend, he said, "Can you imagine what my deputy was saying? My area of strength is where they are thinking there is a problem." Yeah? What do you think? The friend, who is a close friend for many years, asked, "Do you really want me to be honest?" "Of course." Said, "Even here, when you are doing games, we can always tell that you are having problems at home. Is your area of weakness. So something you think is your area of strength, now over time, now he agreed. He pretends or thinks he's managing, but the truth is others can see he's not. What are the areas where you think you are strong, but it's because of lack of self-awareness? So the first step to improving your character is to be self-aware of your areas of strength and weaknesses. Step number 2, please clarify current understanding of character shaping concepts. There's a behavior, for example, I like giving the behavior like in Africa. There is if your wife gives you food with the left hand, you get annoyed. How can she do that? And it can become a quarrel the whole evening, not because the food was not good, but because she gave you the food with the left hand. Obviously, once you like that, you annoy her. She will not think you have good character. There'll be a problem in your marriage. What is causing it? Because of your reaction. Okay, that's not the way you look at it. Because of her foolishness. But the truth is, the problem is you. Why? The existing conceptual understanding is that if somebody gives you food with the left hand, she's not respecting you. But is that true? Surely you know your wife respects you, loves you, made that food with a lot of effort. So you know the left or right are both her hands. She can use any. So is it really, are you really being wise to lose a whole evening of anger and many other things go wrong just because of a concept that's not well checked up? It's not studied. The truth is, whether you get food with the left or right, it is still equally nutritious. Now, when you understand, clarify this, you can now move to the more truthful conceptual understanding because you now know what. So the second thing is clarify why do you be every behavior has a belief behind it. So check your behavior, which is what we are talking, that's the way we see your character, against the belief behind it. And if the belief is not worth continuing with, it will help you to change your behavior. Maybe I use this ladder. So the first step is self-awareness. Second one is clarify current understanding that is causing you to behave in a certain way. That way you are able to go to step number 3, where you now determine the right understanding of the concept, the truth. So you know very well, you come up to, using my example, you come to understand, no, left or right, the food is equal in ratios. That's the real understanding. But you know something? Even after you have done number 3, you still will feel hurt the next time she gives you the food with the left hand. So let's go to number 4. To number 4. And engage this new understanding with existing understanding of the concept. In other words, you look at the two concepts, engage them, and realize it's foolishness to continue believing the way you are believing. And therefore, you need to change the belief system. Number 5, once you now know the right belief, the right value, and therefore the right behavior, you will struggle initially, but please, under step number 5, keep practicing aligning actions to right understanding. So next time you feel annoyed, don't even talk to her. Work on yourself. See how foolish you are and seek to overcome it. So you now know the problem is not the way you are, the problem is yourself. So if you work on it and under number 5, you will soon slowly see yourself overcoming that bad character, that bad behavior. And number 6, you now can start acting with confidence, like a new person, not behaving the way you used to behave. You say, yeah, John has become a new man. Have you noticed he doesn't get annoyed the way he used to get annoyed? Have you seen that John is helping people when they have a problem? He is changing. And so you come under number 7, depend on God for the power to continue walking in the new way. Any question about this 7-step process? The first most important is number 1, self-awareness. And this workshop you're having, remember you talk about character, and you have said how important character is if you are going to be a leader who will influence people, who people will trust, and therefore you can move them to an uncomfortable area which will end up benefiting them more. For people to reach that level, you need to start working on your area of weakness. Any question, any comment about the steps, the 7 steps of transformation process, transforming your character? Chemwemwe, what do you think?
Yeah, you are quite right with the explanation, and it is indeed making a lot of sense, especially on the self-awareness, where you have emphasized the issue of self-awareness, and especially the example that you have given, that at times you may think that you are strong in one area, whereby others, it's like you are just building like a wall so that people cannot give feedback because you have established that I'm strong in this area, while in actual fact, that's your own area of weakness. So I think it's indeed something that is good for a reflection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's now look at you, not Chemwemwe, but all of us. We want to see some of our behavior that really is bad character. So I'm calling it mindset shifts that's needed especially in Kenya, I guess in Mozambique. Basically, this is the way we are. Number one, we have negative self-image. And because of negative self-image, we end up not producing, our productivity is affected. So one of the things that need to change, because you see, once your negative self-image is your belief system, then your behavior will be, you will never be a performer. You will never go places. So you must work on it and work on it until your new value is positive self-identity. You know God values you. You know God is not in the business of making trash. So you know you are okay. And again, the moment you have self-identity and you are happy with your self-worth, the way you behave, the way you relate with others will be totally different. That is another one. Many of people in our society suffer from corruption, which you have just been discussing. Lack of honesty, getting money that that doesn't belong to you. And maybe you discover that's where you are in your society. You need to work on it and determine, no, I'll never get any free things, nor will I ever get something I've not worked for. That way you move to personal and public integrity. I'll never be corrupt, but you need to change the basic, your value system. Number three, what about always thinking that your tribe is better than the other tribe, or your race is better than other race, or engineers are better than marketers? And so you end up discriminating people. That's a bad value, because once you discriminate people, the way you relate with them, they will certainly not trust you. You end up with bad character. So you must replace it with what? Communality. Thinking you are just part and parcel. You're one of the many. You see people around you as part of you. I may have this. Yes, we want to work together. What about partiality? Partiality is where you help some people and not others. You need to move it to impartiality. Impartiality is you do not want to ever favor somebody. Favoritism. You want people to work out. Partiality is simply treating people differently on the basis of whatever you choose. Impartiality is, it doesn't matter whether you are tall or short. If I normally give 20,000 shillings to people who work for me, I'll give you 20,000 shillings. What about meritocracy? Meritocracy is where you do not reward people except if they perform. That's something we are lacking in Africa. What we have? Favoritism. Once you are boss, the boss likes you, he'll promote you to your area of incompetence. What about working on it until you determine, for me, I'll never promote anybody on basis of favor, even if he is my own concern. No, meritocracy becomes your value. What about mediocrity? What's mediocrity? Accepting things without seeking the very best out of any situation. Excellence is the other way around. You don't accept something except the very best. The other one, self-serving leadership, where the reason you are a boss is to benefit you and your wife. That is self-serving leadership. What about if you change to servant leadership? And if we had enough time, would really spend time on this. My friend, if you have positive self-image, you have purpose and personal integrity, you have communality, you have impartiality, you have meritocracy, you have excellence, and servant leadership. That means you'll be the kind of person people will trust, people will follow, and you'll be able to move your community to a better stage that will benefit the whole community, because they'll trust you and work with you. If we had the time, would have discussed an example you have, but I want us now to give you an assignment before we go to question time. let everybody read. I don't know what we'll start with. Let's follow the people on your screen. We follow them. Read loudly. Number one, this is an assignment which I hope you will do, not in class, but later. For yourself, for your own good, not to please anybody, for your own good, to be the better version of yourself. I don't want to read your names. I just want you to volunteer and do it.
Okay, the question number one, the exercise is for self-reflection. Identify a conceptual misunderstanding that currently impedes effectiveness in your personal, relational, and/or professional life. Determine what people, events, or information shaped your current understanding of the identified concept.
Yeah, that is the level of self-awareness, whether it is in your relation, how you relate in your family, whether in your professional life. Are there things you want to blame yourself, or you just hold others responsible for things you find out where you are the one who needs to change? Identify this. Choose the next person. Since you have read, now you choose who to read next.
Okay, let me read.
Okay.
Question number 2. Identify what the right understanding of the concept should be.
Yeah, what is causing you to behave the way that's hurting others? What the belief behind it? Now, number 2, what should have been the right understanding? Say who is to read after you. Have you nominated anybody?
Okay, I'm reading.
Okay.
What will it take to change your current understanding of the identified concept to the right understanding?
Yeah, because now you know that value, that understanding is not correct. Now you know what the right one is. What do you need to do for that to happen? Number 4.
I choose Adra to read.
Go ahead.
What do you need? What do you need to be thinking and doing differently in order to experience transformation of your understanding of the identified concept?
Yeah, very clear. Who is to read after you?
Chimwewe.
Okay, number 5.
All right. Develop a plan for experiencing personal character transformation in the identified areas within the next 6 to 12 months. This is your personal development plan, PDP.
Okay, then. Number 6, who is to read? Nominate someone.
Erwin Tembo.
Okay, Tembo, is you next.
All right. What changes do you think would occur in your life as a result of the transformation of the conceptual understanding?
Let's now look at each one of them, and whichever you want us to discuss so that I explain will help us. And we can discuss any one of them.
John.
Yes.
Can you explain in a few minutes number 5 for them, because it's an exercise that we like people to do in their self-reflection.
Okay. By the way, I've written a book called Discovering Your Life's Purpose. Again, you can find it in Amazon by John Nganga. And anybody I mentor, I insist on them developing a plan, a personal plan. The end result, the first part of the exercise is to describe what they believe God created them to achieve. I normally ask them to write speech that will be read in their 80th birthday. Because by the 80th birthday, they will not be talking about the things they will do. They'll be talking about the things they will have done by then. And look at various areas, you know, in their spiritual life, in their professional life, in their whatever. So if you establish the vision of your life, what you believe God expects you to achieve, then it will help you to move backwards to asking yourself, so if that's my vision, what's my mission statement? Then you go down, down, down. It will, by the way, it will be discussed later in one of the P's. But for now, let's look at character only. Character transformation. Describe at the top what a good person looks like. And today's discussion has given you. You would write down a good person, a good leader has the following character. Choose all of them. Then once you establish this, what I want to achieve, you ask yourself, which one am I okay on? Which one am I 3/4 there? Which one am I not okay at all? You identify them. Then you go to number 3 and ask yourself, how can what strategies will I do? Will I use in order to become that person that I want to become? What are they? Then you start now placing it into time. This month, this is what do I do first, I'll do second. That's what we are calling a personal development plan. It's a plan to become what you have already agreed. So the first exercise is, what kind of person are you looking forward to becoming? Eric, I hope that helps them.
Yes, John, that's fine.
Okay. Mwale, do you think you can do the six questions?
Mwale or Mwaka?
Okay, Mwaka.
Yeah, I think it's okay, but we request that you can share maybe the questions in the chat box.
Okay. Yeah, you are getting this note. So you are getting the note. So you have it exactly as it is.
Okay.
Now that we have finished we are doing in 2 parts. From now you'll get everything.
Okay.
But I really would like to encourage you to do all of them. For your own good. Okay. Because the whole exercise is not about other people, it's about you. Anybody else? Anything you want us to discuss among them? I tried to leave enough time so that would be able to discuss the actual implementation. And you know, character is something that has the tests are immediately. I still remember I left the university in 1970s, and I still remember my first job as working for a bank. And they used to have a register. Of course, we were not computerized those days, where when you arrived, you wrote your name and you wrote the time you have arrived. Innocently, as a new graduate, one day I was late. And I just wrote it down, John Nganga, 8:15. And of course, I went to my work. Around 11, I could see people are looking at me in a very strange way. Until one of them came and said, young man, you are such a fool. I said, what have I done? You reported all of us to the boss. I said, I've not even seen the boss today. Are you pretending you don't understand what you did? I said, I honestly don't know. He said, didn't you write that you came at 15? Yes, that's true. That's when I came. Don't you realize all of us who came after that could not write earlier? That's when I discovered there was a culture in the place where nobody came after 8 o'clock. You wrote 8 o'clock and all the other people came at 8 o'clock. Now, when I wrote 8:15, it meant everybody came at 8:15. That means we were all late. And I'm the one who caused them to be late. They were really unhappy with me. So the lady told me, now you know, never repeat that. I said, you better pray because next time, even if I come at 8:30, I'll write John Nganga 8:30. I cannot write a lie. So just pray I never come late again. Now the lady was fed up with me. And I discovered that if you're a man of integrity, if your character is the character we are describing, you will certainly end up with many, many tests. And some of the people you want to befriend them, but because what they value is not what you value. The behavior, what you are calling good behavior, is they are not interested. You will certainly have a problem. However, like I said in the introduction, the moment people realize you are consistent, in other words, you are not just being difficult, causing them problems, you are consistent. From then onwards, they won't trust you and work with you. I worked for Shell for many years, and then after we retired and were paying our pension, the Shell decided to sell the company. The company that took over did not want to manage our pension. After all, we never worked for them. And so we were called together to be told we must move the pension to a new manager. And they were told, you pick people you trust who ensure that all the money moves to a new manager and you trust them. And you know, generally speaking, the Christians are very few. We are, even after retirement, we have still very few. But when the person was reading the meeting asked, who do you have? One corner said John Nganga. Then another corner said John Nganga. Said, don't you have another name? No, John Nganga. So I am currently the chairman of the Shell Pensioners Scheme. And I know they did not elect me because they liked me. It's because they are afraid they can lose their money. They were looking for somebody who cannot be compromised. Yet they are the same ones when we were working many years ago who would have not have been happy with my life. I'm just telling you, if you live a life of good character, your influence shoots up. You know, I've been chairman now almost 10 years. I'm struggling to live out. I've asked to be released. We had an AGM earlier in April this year. I pleaded with them. They sent me outside. They say no. And it's not that they like me, I know that. It's that they like their money. And they are looking for somebody they can trust. So my friend, what we are describing gives you influence and value that nothing else can. So although we will do many other principles, this is the most important principle for anybody who wants to be a good leader, who wants to be an influential leader. If you picked my book on integrity, I have shared many of my integrity tests and how I dealt with them, so that at least as a way of encouraging others. Any questions still? Okay, if you have no question on the 7 steps, let me ask Anne to read this quote. Anne, over to you. Anne, are you there? Okay.
Hello, you can hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you. You must have been muted.
Yes, I was muted.
Now you read
Can I read now?
Read the quote for us.
When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world. So I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town. I couldn't change the town, and as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realized the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly, I realized that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family. My family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I could indeed have changed the world, written by an unknown monk around 1100 AD.
Thank you very much. I hope we take that message of the monk and see how we can deal ourselves. Rather than talk about the community, talk about our family, start by dealing with yourself. Now it's Q&A. So, and now it doesn't have to be anything that I've discussed, any question that can help us be better people. And doesn't have to be a question. It can be, what have you learned that you think you can share with others and you can actually implement? We are open.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Are you able to return to the slide that was titled "Threats to" something like good character, but threats.
Or you want us to go back to the
threats, something that.
Is it this one?
No, way back, there are some.
Tell me when to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. Yeah, you have just passed. Not that one.
Go forward.
Yes, you go forward. Not that one. Yes, this one. Yeah, on this one, number 5 caught my attention. The metaphysical forces, that is the spiritual forces. Would you speak to maybe this one? How now, because it is a threat. So the moment one realizes that there are some spiritual forces that are threatening one's good character, how do you help on this one? Thank you.
You know, fortunately, I'm speaking to a Christian group. And they are the ones with the solution. Most of these spiritual forces are evil forces that end up influencing people to do the wrong thing. Once you are acting in fear of a witch doctor, or you are acting out of a fear of being bewitched, or you're acting out of fear of, you end up becoming a totally different person out of those fears. But when you're a Christian, you believe Christ came. The book of Hebrews says that he came to rescue us, especially we Africans, who all our lives lived under the fear of death. That fear of death makes people behave very differently. And we are saying it's a threat to your character. But once you know Christ, not about Christ, but know him and become the Lord of your life. He removed that fear and you now can trust him, your life, and you do what he tells you to do and your character will be okay. Right, really what we are talking about. Does that help?
Yes, very much.
Asante. That is Swahili for thank you.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, with the source of good character, nature, conscience, culture, religion, institution of law, and all that. Earlier on, somebody was suggesting that religion is more powerful
than the previous three. Yeah.
This is debatable depending upon where you are coming from. In Ghana, to be precise, in Greater Accra, culture is very, very powerful because we have thousands of churches that are in Accra. But the culture of the people say that in a particular month, there should be no drumming and noise making. And every church is obliged to obey that. So in a particular month, we go to church without playing instruments. So depending on where you are coming from, religion can be powerful or culture can be powerful. Thank you.
Eric, can you comment?
Fortunately, I come from the Greater Accra region. Now, Christianity has become noise. It's just noise. So much noise. Just for a few days, they cannot do without microphone disturbing the whole community. And so, you know, the culture of the place is that at a particular time when they are doing the festival, I mean, so many years ago, this was not an issue. But now, because of the churches are so noisy, now the people say, look, please. And they use the idea that, you know, the government itself has the noise levels, which even when the government says, we don't want you to make noise for this time, the churches are angry because for them, their God is a noisy God. So if they can play instruments loud, okay. You see 3 people in a place, John, 3 people in a room with a loud microphone. So the people are saying that, look, for just a period, just be quiet. And people will want to rather drum so that their drums will be taken with the idea that they want to worship their God rather than be obedient. So for me, it's also about character of being obedient. Because those people who are not from Accra, and when you travel away from Accra, unfortunately, or fortunately, when they are not in Accra, like you go to other places where most people from other regions have come to Accra, where they come from, they also have those rules. But when they go to their hometown, they want to obey those rules. There's no problem outside of Accra. In Elmina and other places, there's no problem. When they come to Accra, they are saying that that is where the Christian God wants people to drum and do things all the time. So, John, that's the problem.
Okay.
It's not about,
but does it mean the government will enforce it? If you actually make noise during that period, you will be in trouble with the government.
Oh yes, if you make noise, the government, if you over noise and they come, they will seize your drums. If you do the over noise,
then it is not culture. Let's be clear, that's not culture. It's institutional law and order. Because if it's culture, it means because you do not want to be out of culture, you go quiet. But now they are going quiet because they fear the government. Eric, I hope I've not misinterpreted it.
No, it is true. For me, I think that even we Christians, there should be times when people say we should be quiet. The government says let your knowledge level be this. I think for Christians, we should be able to be seen to be law abiding. We shouldn't be like the hotels and the nightclubs. I think
I
so.
agree with you. But I hope the person has heard it's not culture. People are not failing to make noise because of culture, not because they believe in what the culture is about, because some are from different places, but because they know that if those people report them to the government, they will be in trouble. Anyway, we have to finish. But I wanted a few people to just say what they have learned and finish. So who?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes.
I have a question. I don't know if I can ask.
We are now past time. It's past the time.
Yes, John, I give you a few minutes for them to ask their questions.
Oh, Eric has given me permission. Now we can relax.
Okay, sir. It's just a little
ask the question, Emmanuel.
Yes,
Who
can
is?
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's just a little clarification I want, especially the number 5, the influence of the metaphysics world to we acting wrong or good. I'm thinking that before someone can be affected by a supernatural power externally, I think there will be a foundation of a character that the spirit will play on. I've followed deliverance section for a while, and many a time we let the victims repent and confess. So I don't know if there is that possibility that, for example, you are not a greedy person and the spirit of greediness takes over. I don't know if there is something like that, but I just want to ask and seek for clarification, because what I know is that before any spirit will try to do something to somebody, it tries on the negativity, then it breeds and it affects the person holistically. So that's just the clarification I want.
That's why I told you the answer is to totally put yourself under God's control, and those metaphysical forces, spiritual influences will have no power over you. But if that's your belief system, you certainly will discover yourself there. So I'm in agreement with you. If that's the way, that's your belief system, you end up with a problem. But getting born again, the reason Christians use the word born again is because those influences should cease once you become a Christian. However, like Eric is saying, many people are not clearly Christians. They just enjoy joining other Christians. But deep down in their heart, they just follow their own traditional beliefs. So in that case, where people we call Christian may not necessarily be Christians. And so those metaphysical will continue influencing them, such that he knows a good person to be like this, but he is helpless. Yes, that's the opposite. Thank you. I now want people who are commenting, not questions. Helena, what have you learned? Helena?
We have
Can
Helena.
you unmute? Yes.
Yes, John.
Now is your chance to tell us, to summarize the 2 days. What do you go home with?
Going home with me trying to make sure that I live right. I have a good conscience. My character is good. And it is not good to me in my eyes, but others will also know that I have a good character.
Thank you very much. Who else? Andra.
John, we have, yes.
Do you want to say something, Andra, before Eric speaks?
Okay. On what I learned today.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I learned a lot. And I learned that whatever whatever happens, I must transform myself first. The change that I want to see, it must start from me, because as the monk rightly said, you need to change yourself, and then when you are changed, it affects the people around you, and that multiplication cycle affects the whole society. And that is what I've learned today, and I want to say. But I have something that I want Prof to clarify for me, Prof Anu to clarify for me on the same issue that he spoke on. I heard one pastor gave an explanation that is given for the ban on noise is that the ancestral spirits will come around and that's the hate noise. That is so for the Christian organizations to succumb to that, it's like they are succumbing to a traditional belief that the ancestral spirits at that time of the year come around to to patrol the town. So I want him to throw a little light on that. Thank you.
I will say that the explanation that the pastor gave you is wrong. It is not true, because in the Bible, you will even read that God requires that we have a Sabbath and other things and so on. And so the noise making is not for the ancestral spirit, but it is a time where people will take a Sabbath from, all their hustle and bustle and so on. So that is it. The pastor who told you that it's for ancestral spirits, it is his own explanation. It's not the culture of the people. That's what I
But Elizabeth,
Yes,
is it possible for both of them to be true?
No.
That there is somebody who does not wants to make noise, but the reason he is stopping to make noise is fear of ancestral impact.
I don't think it is true. It is not true.
But I'm asking, is there a possibility?
No.
You don't think people fear the spirits of the ancestral spirits?
No. Because
John.
Yeah. Yes,
those pastors mainly are charismatic pastors who don't even want to know what the real reason is.
Yes.
Anything that stops them from doing what they want to do, like noise, like extorting money from people, anything, they will find a clandestine way of explaining. What he's saying, what the pastor told him is not true. That's basically that. And it is because when charismatic pastors want to find reason to tell their members to manipulate them, then they give reasons which are not true.
Let me tell you where I'm coming from, Eric. I lived in Kisumu. Eric knows Kenya. I lived in Kisumu. And there comes a time when the demons come and they have to be chased away. So they start from the hills in Kisumu, and when people notice them, they start beating drums. And you're supposed to beat. If you don't beat Soforia, you make noise with equipment in your house, the demons will end up in your house. So you are supposed to keep doing them until they end up in the Lake Victoria. So the truth of the matter is, if you are hitting the drums, you are part and parcel of the fear of the spirits. So when they came, when that happened, of course, we as a Christian family don't do it. So they say, the following day they are very eager. Did you do it? Obviously, we can't do it. We don't believe in those things. So you can see clearly there may be pastors who are after making noise, but that's not the problem. The problem is, why that time? Why not another time? Why do you want to do it at a time when it can be associated with evil spirits, rather than pick another different time and say, for this month, we are not going to have any noise. And it can be agreed by churches, but why not do it at a different time, rather than the time when it can be associated with the cultural traditional beliefs. Eric, do you understand? I'm trying to back the question the other person is asking. One
Yes,
of the
but
John, I think that this is very contextual. It depends
yes,
on where
but
you're coming from, because I come from Elmina, and 3 months to the annual festival, they don't go to the sea, they don't go to the river to fish or anything. You don't eat fish, corn. So when the festival is over, because they give us Sabbath, and they believe that that is the time that the gods also need to do what they have to do, and so people respect it. At 6 o'clock in the evening,
should a Christian respect it? Should a Christian believe like that?
Everybody respects it. Everybody respects it. At 6 o'clock,
should a Christian respect it?
Yes, you have.
Helena, should a Christian respect it? Does salvation mean anything? Do you fear the same thing?
Whether you like it or not, you are living in the community. No, John, John, whether you like it or not, you are living in a community where we are bound by the culture of the place.
Okay. Anyway, I was trying to tell you, do not dismiss the person who talked, because whereas it is true, some people, it is simply they want to make noise. What Helena has described means the people are doing it because of their belief system. It is not noise or trying to obey the government. So both of them may be true. That's the point I wanted to make for the other person.
And you know, to add to it, let me say that maybe over the years, people have said that. But you see, this is where we come in as agents of transformation, where we will help people recognize that this has nothing to do with deities or ancestral spirits, but rather it has something to do beyond that, maybe for rest or for anything. You know, if you look at it carefully, psychology is being used. And so would you want to say that? So I would say that as agents of transformation, this is the time where we need to come in and look at the beliefs behind it, and then tell people that, look, the reason for maybe saying no drumming, no eating of fish, no this thing or that, and so on, it could be this. You know, sometimes when they say there should be no fishing, it is to give the sea space so that the fish in the ocean can grow. It's the same way God says, when you farm, leave the land to be fallow, you see, so that it regains its nutrients back, and to be able to support the plant that you grow, the seeds that you put in the soil. And so when you look at that in the scriptures, you can also extrapolate it through the ocean, that there is a ban on no fishing. It is not because of any deity. That one is psychology being used on the people so that they will fear. The actual truth behind it is to allow the fish in the ocean time to grow, so that when we go to fish, there will be a bumper harvest. As agents of transformation,
let's finish so that we don't take too long.
Yes,
but
agents of transformation.
You can see whether in Kenya or in Ghana or in Zambia, since you have said metaphysical forces can shape character wrongly, what Elizabeth is discussing needs to be dealt with as a project. How do we remove people from those belief systems so that they trust in God and do not do things because of fearing? They do it because of science, like allowing the fish to grow. Why? So how do we, what kind of project will be there so that people are not tied up to the fears Jesus came to rescue us from? I leave you that, and it's not just a question of Accra, it is Zambia, it is in Zimbabwe, it is in Kenya. In fact, I've just written a book. Again, if you go to Amazon, you'll find a book I've written, Christianity and Culture. And I try to look at those beliefs and talk about some beliefs are just in culture. We should not stop them, but they are beliefs that have to do with religion, because every tribe in Africa had a religion. And we cannot be both Christian and continue with that religion. However, when it comes to the kind of food you take, the kind of behavior you have, that is culture, and you stay with. So anyway, that's not our subject, but it's reality related, because you can see it came from the idea that metaphysical forces can influence your character. I want to finish it there. Let me hand over the meeting to, but if you have a question and I have not answered it, please email me. As you email me the answers to the assignment I'm giving you, please also email the question and we can continue with our discussion, the two of us, you and me, even after the class, so it doesn't look like I'm running away from the questions that you have. The assignment, which I'm told by Eric, you are going to do before, and say email me before Tuesday next week. Give an example of people who have led you, who had good character and evidence of that. In other words, what is one of the leaders can be your mother, can be your father, can be a prefect in school, a leader who led you and you regarded him as a good leader. What was the evidence he was a good leader? Question number 2, what behavior in your community represents bad character? And why do some leaders yet copy it? In other words, in our community, we believe that's a bad of a leader to be like that. Yet there are some leaders who are like that. Why do they copy bad character? Question number 3, list 5 of your core values. I'm assuming you have core values. What are core values? Non-negotiable convictions. You do not debate it, you cannot break them, you believe in them. Give me 5 of your core values and describe times each value was challenged by an experience that you faced and how you managed the challenge. Earlier, we assumed that integrity is your value, and you gave us examples how it was tested. Now, what are other values you have? How have they been tested? After this training, how would you handle the same test? Question number 4, describe one person who has been your leader and whose character you do not admire. You know, question 1 is somebody you admire. Question 4 is somebody you don't admire. What in his behavior do you not admire and why? And finally, how have you managed not to copy this bad leader who led you and could have influenced you? How come you have not copied him? Thank you very much. The assignment,
Is this
I think, has already been posted.
Is this still a one-page assignment? Is it one page?
Yes. But if you give me 2 pages, I'll mark. But but it can fit into one page. Remember, it can be each a paragraph. There's a paragraph, question 1, paragraph, question 2, 2 or 3 paragraph, question 3, and 1 paragraph in question 4.
Right.
But I'm willing to take more. Any other question on the assignment? Let me hand over the meeting back to Eric.
Yes, thank you so much, John. And I want to still reiterate that the assignment is to be sent directly to John's mail. And make sure you send it to his mail. Don't send it to any other mail, because John will have to get it by this time round. I will let you know that you should let him have it by next week. It will save you a lot of time. I'm going to say something about next week, but it is very advisable to do this 1 or 2 page assignment and send it to John's email. We've given you the